The Council's judgment. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council was never silent, but today the noise was different. Thousands of alien delegates filled the shining chamber, their voices sharp, cold, and united in one purpose. The vote was clear, the decision final. The Chancellor of the Council raised his long silver hand and declared, "Earth is hereby exiled from the community of stars. No trade, no travel, no voice among us. Humanity has ignored our rules, and they must face the cost." Wave of sound moved through the hall, cheers, hisses, and the strange cries of alien species. For many, it was a victory. For centuries, humans had been seen as reckless newcomers, too bold, too curious, too unwilling to obey. To exile them was not just punishment, it was a warning to others. Do not follow Earth's path. But not all were pleased. A few silent delegates shifted in their seats uneasy. They remembered the history of humans. They remembered Earth's wars, their survival on a harsh death world, their endless ability to adapt. One whispered to another, "They will not accept this quietly. Humans never do." Far below, in the gallery reserved for the accused, a small group of human envoys sat in silence. They wore dark uniforms, with the blue crest of Earth. Their faces were calm, but their eyes were cold. The leader among them, an older man with steel-gray hair, did not look afraid. He only stared back at the council with steady, unblinking eyes. When the chamber quieted, the Chancellor addressed them directly. "Humans of Earth, you have been given your chance. We warned you not to expand into forbidden sectors. We told you to limit your weapons, your colonies, your ambition. You ignored us all. Now, you are cut off. You stand alone." The old human stood. His voice was calm, deep, and carried across the chamber. "You believe exile will break us. You think shutting doors will chain us. You forget who we are. We survived ice ages, plagues, wars that burned continents. We thrived while our world tried to kill us. If you turn your backs on us, then we will survive without you." His words echoed like thunder. Some aliens hissed in anger, others grew uneasy. The council struck the gavel, silencing him. "Then you accept exile?" the Chancellor asked. The human envoy's eyes narrowed. "We accept nothing. You may vote to cast us out, but you cannot decide our future. That belongs to us alone." Gasps filled the hall. The arrogance of humanity was on full display, and it shook even those who hated them. The Chancellor's face hardened. "So be it. You have been warned. Ignore this judgment and the galaxy will remember. The cost will be terrible." The vote ended, the council lights dimmed, and the human envoys were escorted away. But as they walked out, the old man turned once more, to look back at the chamber. His eyes burned with something none of the aliens understood, defiance mixed with a dangerous kind of pride. Outside, on their ship, the younger envoy broke the silence. "They think exile will destroy us. What do we do now?" The old man looked out at the stars. "What humanity has always done. We endure, we grow stronger, and when the time comes, we remind them why Earth is never forgotten." Back in the council chambers, several alien delegates whispered among themselves. One, a tall reptilian with golden eyes, muttered to his companion, "We should not have done this. We think we've caged a beast, but all we've done is set it loose." His companion scoffed. "They are weak. Their fleets are small, their worlds few, they will crumble." But the reptilian only shook his head. "You do not know humans. They pay every price, but they never surrender. And when they return, it is always with fire." Far away, Earth received the Council's judgment. News spread across the planet, across the colonies. Some were angry, others afraid. But many only clenched their fists and whispered the same words. "Let them try." And, in the dark of space, hidden beyond the maps the Council knew, something old stirred. A ship, long forgotten, resting silent in the void. Its systems flickered awake as if it had heard the vote itself. Humanity had been exiled. But the story was only beginning. The warning ignored, The galaxy believed the judgment was final. After the vote, alien news channels declared Earth finished. Reports showed human ships being denied entry at trade stations, human diplomats turned away from councils, and human colonies cut off from galactic routes. To many, it looked like the end of Earth's ambitions among the stars. But on Earth itself, things were different. Factories lit up across the continents. Shipyards along the Moon and Mars began to work day and night. The Council had taken away trade, but humanity still had its own hands, its own minds, and its own spirit. Instead of slowing down, humans pushed harder. In a vast shipyard orbiting Mars, Commander Hale walked along a viewing platform, watching workers weld steel and titanium. Sparks flew as frames of new warships came alive in the darkness. Beside him, a young officer frowned. They warned us. They said the cost would be terrible if we ignored them. Should we not step back, sir? Hale's jaw tightened. Step back? Do you not understand? The Council never wanted peace. They wanted obedience. They fear us, so they pretend to control us. But Earth bows to no one. The young officer lowered his head, but inside doubt burned. He had seen the numbers. Alien empires had fleets 10 times larger than humanity's. Their technology was older, refined, and deadly. To defy them was to walk into fire, yet across human space the same decision was being made. Ignore the warning. On the colony world of Titan's Reach, settlers gathered in the town square as the exile news came. Some shouted in anger, some wept. In fear, but one farmer raised his hand. Listen to me. They think they can starve us, they think they can scare us. But we are children of Earth. Do you not remember? Our ancestors built life from nothing but stone and storms. If the galaxy closes its doors, then we open our own. The crowd cheered. From that day, colonists planted more fields, built more storage, and prepared to stand alone. But the galaxy was watching. In the shadows of space, fleets from alien empires began to move. Scouts reported that humans were ignoring the exile. Colonies were growing, ships were being built, weapons tested. Some council leaders laughed at human pride. Others grew restless. On the distant star station of Varan Prime, 2 alien spies watched human cargo ships unloading supplies. They do not look broken, one said, his mandibles clicking nervously. No, the other replied. They look hungry, and a hungry species is dangerous. Rumors spread quickly. Some claimed humans were preparing a secret fleet. Others whispered that Earth had ancient technology hidden deep in its systems, weapons older than the Council itself. Most dismissed it as fear-mongering, but unease grew. Meanwhile, inside Earth's military command, debates raged. Some generals argued for caution, to wait, to rebuild slowly. But others, louder and fiercer, demanded strength. Admiral Reyes stood at the center of the war room. Maps of human space glowed red, Council-controlled sectors glowing blue. They exiled us, he said, voice firm. But they forgot our history. Humanity never needed permission to survive. We cross oceans, we climb mountains, we build cities, in deserts and ice, and now we will do the same in space. Let them warn us, we will ignore it, and when they strike, we will be ready. The generals nodded. Plans were drawn. Hidden routes through uncharted systems were mapped. Black sites, deep in asteroid belts, began to test weapons never before revealed, but not all humans agreed. Inno, a quiet colony near the rim, an old teacher warned her students. We must be careful. The Council does not bluff. If we ignore their warning, they will come with fleets, with fire, with war, and it is the innocent who will suffer first. There, Caro. Students grew silent, fear in their eyes, but one boy clenched his fists and said softly, Then we fight, because if we don't, they will always treat us like slaves. The teacher had no answer. Back on the Council worlds, reports continued to arrive. Human ships were mining rare metals in forbidden sectors. Colonies were expanding instead of shrinking. The warning had been ignored. In the Council chamber, The reptilian delegate with golden eyes spoke again. They will not stop. Exile means nothing to them. If we do not act, they will rise stronger than ever. The Chancellor replied coldly. Then we shall act. If they wish to ignore the warning, then let them pay the cost. And so fleets were ordered to move closer to human borders. Patrols increased. Spies sent back sharper reports. The net was closing, but humanity still did not bend. The young officer who had questioned Commander Hale stood once more in the shipyard, watching as a new warship's engines lit for the first time. He felt the vibration in his chest, the roar of power. He whispered to himself, "We are building fire while sitting on dry grass, and when the spark comes, everything will burn." Far away, deep in the dark, a small human scout ship sent out a final message before vanishing from the stars. Unknown fleet detected, moving fast. They are coming. Shadows at the edge. The stars at the edge of human space were quiet. Too quiet. For weeks, patrol ships reported strange signals. Shadows that flickered across scanners, shapes that appeared and vanished in seconds. At first, commanders dismissed them as sensor errors. But the silence grew heavier, and soon no one laughed. On the outer colony of Raven's Hold, miners whispered of ships seen beyond the horizon. Dark shapes drifting, watching, and then fading into the black. No records, no transponders, only the feeling of being hunted. The colony governor sent messages to Earth, his voice shaking. Something moves in the dark, something waits. In orbit above the colony, the small patrol ship Falcon prepared for a scouting run. Captain Elias, a man hardened by frontier duty, tightened the straps of his uniform. His crew looked uneasy. "Relax," he told them, forcing a smile. "Probably smugglers, maybe pirates. Nothing we can't handle." But his words did not erase the fear in their eyes. They had heard the stories too. Alien fleets massing, council agents whispering of a punishment yet to come. The Falcon slipped into the void, its engines burning faint blue. For hours, they scanned empty stars. Then, without warning, the radar lit up. Dozens of contacts appeared on the screen. "Captain, these are not pirates," the sensor officer whispered. Captain Elias stared at the display. The signatures were too large, too many. He recognized the shapes from old war files. Council, destroyers, cruisers, carriers, an entire fleet. "Send a signal to command," he ordered. "Now." But before the message could be sent, the ship's systems flickered. Communications cut off. The crew looked around in panic as the lights dimmed. Outside the viewport, massive alien warships emerged from the shadows, surrounding the Falcon like wolves around prey. The captain swallowed hard. So, the shadows were real. Moments later, silence. The Falcon never returned. On Earth, the warning came too late. The scout ship's final message had been short, broken, and full of static. Unknown fleet. Moving fast. They are coming. In the War Council chamber, Admiral Reyes slammed his fist on the table. "This is it. The Council has chosen war. They will not wait for us to grow stronger. They are already here." Generals and ministers exchanged worried looks. Some argued for diplomacy. One last chance to talk. But Reyes shook his head. "They exiled us. They warned us. And now they send fleets into our space. Talking is over. We must prepare for the storm." At the colony of Titan's Reach, the storm arrived first. Children were playing near the fields when the sky suddenly lit up. With fire, massive alien ships descended, their shadows covering the land. The ground shook as bombardments began. Homes collapsed. Screams filled the air. Governor Lin tried to send a distress signal, but communications were jammed. She stared at the sky, in horror. "They are not raiders," she whispered. "They are executioners." The colony's defense guns fired back, their blasts shaking the heavens. For a moment, a cruiser burned and fell, giving hope to the defenders. But the alien fleet was too large. One by one, human defense towers were reduced to ash. In the chaos, a young boy clutched his sister's hand. "Don't look," he whispered as fire rained down. But his sister looked anyway, and what she saw carved fear deep into her heart. Alien soldiers landing, tall and cold, their armor glowing, their weapons ready. Back on Earth, news of the Yo attack reached the capital. Images streamed through broken channels, colonies burning, families fleeing, defenders dying. Crowds filled the streets, some shouting for revenge, others demanding retreat. Fear spread like wildfire, but so did anger. In the central square of New London, a worker raised his voice above the chaos. They warned us, and we ignored them. Now we pay the price. But hear me, better to pay in blood than to live in chains. Better to fight and die than to bow to those who hate us, the crowd roared. For the first time, fear turned into fury. The council, watching from their distant chambers, spoke coldly. They had their chance, the chancellor declared. Now we show them the cost of defiance. But some delegates still shifted uneasily. The reptilian with golden eyes whispered again, "This is not the end. This is the beginning. They will fight back, and when they do, we will regret everything." His words were drowned by the cheers of others. Far from the colonies, in the dark reaches of uncharted space, old machines stirred once more. Sensors blinked awake. Forgotten systems hummed. A giant silhouette, long abandoned, shifted as if listening to the cries of its people. The shadows were no longer at the edge. They had entered human space. And now, the war had truly begun. The first blow. The attack on Titan's Reach was not an accident. It was the Council's message written in fire. Whole cities were turned into rubble, their lights gone in a single night. The colony's screams echoed through broken transmissions until silence swallowed everything. On Earth, people watched the fragments of footage in horror. Families huddled around screens, seeing burning fields, falling towers, and alien warships, drifting like monsters in the sky. Mothers clutched children close, fathers clenched their fists in rage. Admiral Reyes stood before the human high command. His voice was cold and heavy. This was not punishment. This was extermination. They will not stop with Titan's Reach. They will strike again, harder, until nothing of us remains. A minister shook his head. We cannot fight their fleets. We are too small, too weak. Reyes cut him off. Weak? You call us weak? We are the children of a world that tried to kill us every day. We breathe poison air, drink from rivers filled with ice, fight wars that shattered continents, and still we lived. If they want to break us, they will have to burn every inch of Earth itself. Silence filled the chamber. Then, slowly, the ministers nodded. Orders were given. The first human war fleets were assembled. On the frontier world of Havenfall, alarms screamed across the colony. The people had seen what happened to Titan's Reach. They knew what came next. Governor Lynn's last message had spread across the colonies. Fight or die forgotten. So when alien ships appeared in Haven Falls, Sky, the humans were ready. Defense towers powered up. Fighters launched from underground hangars. Soldiers took their positions with rifles trembling in their hands. Captain Elias, who had once commanded the missing patrol ship's sister vessel, stood at the heart of the defense grid. His voice echoed through the comms. They think we are prey. Show them Earth does not die quietly. The first blasts shook the ground. Alien plasma rained down, turning forests to fire. Human cannons roared back, slamming heavy shells into enemy cruisers. For the first time, alien ships staggered, shields cracking. The crowd of colonists hiding underground listened as the sounds of battle thundered above. Children asked, "Are we winning?" But no one had an answer. In space, the first true clash began. Human warships were smaller, less advanced, but they fought like wolves. They darted between cruisers, firing torpedoes into weak points, turning debris into weapons. Alien admirals expected an easy victory. Instead, they watched in shock as 3 of their destroyers burned. One alien commander hissed in disbelief. How? Their ships are ancient, crude. How do they strike us so hard? Another replied coldly. Because they fight as if every battle is their last. Back on Earth, news of the defense spread. For the first time, humanity saw hope. A transmission From Havenfall showed burning alien wreckage falling from the sky. The people cheered, but the victory was short. The alien fleet responded with fury. Hundreds of ships descended at once, crushing human defenses under a storm of fire. Havenfall burned, just like Titan's Reach. Captain Elias's last message came through the static. "We fought, we killed them. Tell Earth, tell them we did not kneel." Then the signal ended. Havenfall was gone. The Council celebrated. To them, it was proof that exile had worked, that defiance was punished. But not all were convinced. The reptilian delegate with golden eyes spoke once more, his voice low. "You believe you have broken them, but can you not see? With every colony we destroy, their hatred grows. With every drop of blood they shed, their resolve becomes iron. You do not kill humanity with fire, you forge it." The Chancellor dismissed his words, declaring loudly, "The lesson is given. Let them remember the cost." But deep in the void, Earth's surviving fleets gathered. Admiral Reyes looked over the damaged ships, their hulls scarred, their crews exhausted. Yet their eyes still burned with defiance. He spoke to them, his voice carried to every ship. "We have lost colonies. We have lost brothers and sisters. But we are not broken. Every loss is fuel. Every blow is memory. And when we strike back, the galaxy will never forget what it unleashed." The fleet roared with approval. Far beyond, in an uncharted system, something stirred again. An ancient warship, buried in silence for centuries, flickered with light. Its engines hummed, its weapons glowed faintly, as if remembering old wars. A voice from its AI whispered through the static. Human presence detected. Awakening protocols. Engaged. The first blow had been struck. Humanity had bled. But something old, something terrible, was about to rise. Humanity's fire. The ashes of Titan's Reach and Havenfall still glowed in the minds of every human. Colonies had burned, families had been lost, and fleets were shattered. But instead of breaking, humanity grew harder, sharper, like steel, put into the forge. On Earth, workers filled the shipyards day and night. Old factories that once built cargo haulers now forged warships. Children drew pictures of burning alien fleets. Farmers sent food to the front lines. The entire species, from the oldest general to the youngest child, carried one thought: never again. Admiral Reyes stood in the Great War Room, where holograms of the galaxy shone across the table. Human fleets, small and scattered, pulsed red. Alien armadas filled the edges in blue. His officers argued, their voices tense. "We cannot face them head-on. Their fleets are too large. Then we strike fast, hit their supply lines. If we don't defend the colonies, there will be nothing left to save." Reyes raised his hand. Silence fell. His voice was calm, but every word burned like iron. "We will not outnumber them. We will not outgun them. But we will outthink them. We fight where they are blind. We strike where they are weak. And every time they believe we are finished, we rise again." The plan began. Near the asteroid belt of Vera, a squadron of small, human frigates waited in the shadows. They were old ships, patched and scarred, but their crews were fierce. Commander Hale, now leading the squadron, tightened his grip on the command chair. "Remember," he told his crew, "this is not about survival. This is about teaching them fear." When the alien supply convoy entered the belt, the frigates pounced. Explosions ripped through the void as human torpedoes struck fuel carriers. Alien escorts scrambled, firing wildly, but the humans danced through the rocks like predators. In minutes, half the convoy was ash and the rest fled. Word of the ambush spread quickly. For the first time, alien fleets began to whisper of human cunning, of battles fought not with strength but with relentless will. On the colony of Ironhold, civilians dug trenches, turned mining lasers into weapons, and prepared for the inevitable attack. When the alien cruisers arrived, they found not a frightened settlement but a fortress. The first bombardment met with a storm of resistance. Alien soldiers landed and were driven back by colonists who refused to kneel. One miner, holding a rifle made from spare parts, shouted as the aliens retreated, You can exile us, you can burn us, but you will never erase us. The word spread like fire, replayed across broadcasts, whispered in underground shelters, shouted in war camps. But every victory came at a cost. Human fleets lost ships faster than they could replace them. Colonies bled. Millions mourned. Yet, the fire only grew stronger. In the War Council, a young officer slammed his fist on the table. We are dying, but we are also teaching them. Every battle proves we are not prey. Every strike shows we will fight to the last breath. If they want our extinction, they will have to choke on our fire. The council far away began to argue among themselves. Some wanted to crush Earth with overwhelming force, to erase them completely. Others warned of danger. The reptilian delegate with golden eyes spoke again. Do you not see? You think you fight against ships, against weapons, but you fight against something you cannot measure, the human spirit. Every life you take makes them harder. Every warning ignored makes them bolder. You forge your own enemy. The Chancellor silenced him with a wave. They are burning. Soon nothing will remain but ashes. But the delegate only whispered, ashes can spark the largest fire. In deep space, Admiral Reyes prepared the next strike. His fleet was battered, engines failing, weapons low, yet his eyes were steady. He looked at his captains through the hololink and said, they think we fear them. They think we are broken. But humanity's fire does not fade. It spreads. And when the galaxy looks back at this war, they will not remember the Council's warning. They will remember Earth's answer. The captains saluted. Across every ship, voices rose in a single vow, for Earth, for every colony, for humanity. The war was far from over. The cost was high. But now the galaxy would learn what it meant to ignite the fire of mankind. And somewhere far beyond, the ancient warship continued to awaken. Its core burned brighter. Its systems whispered of war. Soon, humanity's fire would have a weapon, older and deadlier than anything the Council had ever known. The forgotten Titan deep in the uncharted void where maps ended and stars grew thin, an ancient ship stirred. It was larger than any human vessel in service, a relic of forgotten wars. Dust and silence had covered it for centuries. Its hull was scarred but unbroken, its frame massive like a floating mountain. The Titan was its name, once whispered with pride by old Earth fleets. Built 1,000 years ago, abandoned when the galaxy moved forward, it had slept in darkness, but now something had called it awake. Inside its silent halls, systems flickered. Old lights blinked to life. Engines hummed like the heartbeat of a giant. The ship's artificial intelligence spoke, its voice cracked but steady. Human distress. Signals detected. Protocols engaged. Awakening sequence complete. Across the galaxy, human colonies burned, but hope was reborn in the void. Admiral Reyes received the first coded signal from deep space. His officers stared at the strange transmission. This can't be real. One whispered. It's a myth. The Titan was lost centuries ago. Reyes's eyes narrowed. Myth or not, it's calling to us. The fleet changed course, their battered ships limping through uncharted sectors. When they emerged, the sight took their breath away. There it was, the Titan, a warship so vast it blotted out the stars. Its hull stretched for kilometers. Its guns were as large as cities. Even scarred and rusted, it radiated power. One young officer whispered, "It looks dead." But as they approached, the Titan's massive cannons rotated. Its engines flared. The old ship had not forgotten war. The Council fleets, already preparing for another strike on human colonies, detected the movement. Their admirals dismissed it at first, an old derelict, nothing more. But when the Titan powered its main weapons, fear spread through alien channels. That thing should not be alive. It's too old. How does it still function? The answer was simple. Humans had built it, and humans built to endure. Inside the Titan, Admiral Reyes stepped onto the ancient bridge. Dust filled the air, but the consoles glowed with new life. The AI greeted him. Command recognized. Humanity requires strength. The Titan stands ready. Reyes's hand brushed the arm of the command chair. He felt the weight of history pressing down, but also the fire of hope rising. Then we give the galaxy an answer they will never forget. The first test came quickly. An alien fleet of 20 ships entered the system, expecting to face crippled human vessels. Instead, they found the Titan waiting. The battle began in silence. Alien cruisers advanced, their weapons blazing, but the Titan did not move. It simply opened fire. A single shot from its main cannon tore through an enemy battleship, splitting it in two. Shock rippled through the alien ranks. They fired everything they had, but the Titan's ancient shields held, glowing faintly with golden light. Human crews cheered as alien ships burned. For the first time, victory seemed possible. News spread fast. Across the colonies, people heard whispers of the Titan. Children shouted its name in the streets. Workers painted it on banners. Soldiers swore oaths by it. The Titan has returned. Humanity is not finished. Fear spread in equal measure across the council. Admirals studied the battle footage with disbelief. Politicians argued in panic. The reptilian delegate with golden eyes leaned forward in the council chamber, his voice heavy with warning. You see now? You thought exile would break them. Instead, you forced them to awaken their oldest monster. You do not fight a species, you fight their history, their memory, their will. The Chancellor hissed, trying to hide his fear. It is one ship, we will destroy it. But the delegate whispered, one ship can become a legend, and legends cannot be destroyed. On the Titan's bridge, Admiral Reyes stood tall, watching the stars ahead. His fleet, though damaged, now moved with confidence behind their giant protector. He spoke to his captains, his voice calm but filled with fire. They thought exile would make us weak. They thought burning our colonies would end us, but now the Titan rises. And with it, humanity's fire becomes a storm. The captains saluted. Across every ship, voices echoed the same vow. For Earth, for the fallen, for the future. The forgotten Titan had returned, and the galaxy would soon learn that the oldest human weapon was not just steel and guns, it was the unbreakable spirit of the people who built it. The price and the lesson. The galaxy shook when the Titan entered the war. One battle after another turned from certain human defeat into shocking victory. Where the Titan appeared, alien fleets hesitated. Whole sectors whispered its name as if it were a ghost from another age. But power always came with a price. For every alien ship destroyed, a human ship was lost. For every colony defended, another colony was left exposed. The Titan was mighty, but it could not be everywhere. Humanity bled, and the fire that carried them forward consumed lives faster than it could protect them. Admiral Reyes knew this truth well. On the Titan's bridge, he stood silent as casualty reports streamed in. Millions dead, worlds burned, cities turned to ash. The galaxy would remember Earth's defiance, but at what cost? The Council, shaken by defeat after defeat, gathered in fear. This is madness, one alien delegate shouted. One ancient ship should not decide the fate of empires, another hissed in reply. It is not the ship, it is the humans. They fight as if death itself is their ally. The reptilian delegate with golden eyes stood again, his voice calm and heavy. You see the truth now. Exile did not destroy them, it forged them. You tried to break their pride, and instead you sharpened their will. You wanted them to be small, instead you made them legendary. But the Chancellor struck the table, refusing to admit weakness. Then we gather all fleets. We crush Earth with everything we have. And so the galaxy came. Hundreds of ships, fleets from every corner of Council space, gathered to erase humanity once and for all. They poured into human borders like a storm of fire. Colonies screamed as bombardments rained down. Human fleets fought desperately, but they were outnumbered 10-1. The Titan moved to meet them. The final battle began in the system of Aryan Prime. Alien ships darkened the stars, their numbers endless. The Titan, massive and defiant, moved forward like a mountain against the tide. Admiral Reyes stood tall on the bridge. His voice rang through every channel. "This is our stand. This is our answer. The galaxy will not remember us for fear, but for fire. Even if we fall, they will. Never forget Earth." Human fleets cheered, their engines roaring. Fighters swarmed like hornets. Frigates darted like knives, and the Titan unleashed its ancient fury. Alien ships burned, one after another, but the enemy numbers did not end. For every cruiser destroyed, 2 more appeared. For every victory, a dozen losses followed. The Titan shook under the bombardment. Its shields cracked, its hull split in places, its guns slowed. Still, it fought. Still, it refused to fall. On Earth, billions watched the battle through broken transmissions. They saw their fleets die, their colonies burn, their Titan bleed fire. Tears filled eyes, but pride filled hearts. Fathers held sons, mothers whispered to daughters. This is humanity. This is who we are. Hours passed. The Titan, burning and broken, fired its last great shot. A Council flagship shattered in 2, its wreckage falling into the star below. Cheers erupted across human comms, but it was the Titan's final strike. The great warship's engines died. Its cannons fell silent. Flames crawled across its vast hull. On the bridge, Admiral Reyes gave his final order. Transmit this message. Humanity may bleed, humanity may burn, but humanity never bows. Remember that when you look upon the stars. The Titan exploded in a blaze so bright, it lit the void like a newborn sun. Silence followed. The Council fleets, though victorious, did not cheer. They had destroyed the Titan, but in doing so they had given birth to something far more dangerous, a legend. Across the galaxy, even alien worlds whispered the same words: never underestimate Earth. Years later, survivors of the war would tell the story. They would speak of exile, of warnings ignored, of colonies lost. But above all, they would speak of the Titan, the forgotten warship that returned to remind the galaxy of humanity's fire. Certi, price had been paid in blood and tears. But the lesson was eternal. Humanity was not to be controlled, not to be silenced, not to be erased. And in the quiet hearts of every human child who grew up after the war, a vow remained. If they ever come again, we will rise, because we are Earth, and Earth endures.